The sky of Velshara burned red as the wreckage of the ship rained down across the jungle moon. Sharp metal twisted around flames, and thick black smoke rose into the alien sky. Somewhere in that destruction, Elias Vorn climbed out from a broken emergency pod, coughing, limping, and gripping his worn-out exosuit's arm. His visor flickered. Sparks flew from his shoulder plates. The exoskeleton was damaged, but still running. He looked around. Trees taller than buildings surrounded him, glowing blue leaves swaying in the wind. Strange sounds echoed from the shadows. The planet was dangerous. He had read the reports: poisonous plants, predators, acid rain. No human should walk alone here. But Elias wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about the crew, the mission, the people who might be alive. He tapped his helmet and spoke. "Anyone hear me? This is Elias Vorn, Engineer, Unit 7. I survived. I'm near Wreck Zone 3C. Respond if you can." Static. Then, one weak voice. "Help?" Elias paused. The voice was faint, but he recognized it. It belonged to Captain Varel Shalan, the Zevari commander of the Joint Human-Zevari Alliance. A proud, alien warrior, known for her cold voice and sharp eyes. She was never friendly to humans, but always respected on the field. He ran. As fast as the exosuit would allow, Elias found her under a collapsed metal wing lying on broken stones. Her armor was cracked. Blood, blue and glowing, dripped from her leg. Her face was pale and her breathing rough. Her telepathic headband was sparking. He knelt beside her. "Captain Varel, I'm going to lift this. Stay still." Her eyes opened slowly. "Human, leave me. I can't walk. I'll slow you down. You must survive." "No," Elias said simply. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Velshara is cursed. There are things in the forest. I saw them. You can't carry me. Let me die with honor." "I don't leave people behind," Elias said. "Not anymore." Before she could answer, he activated his exosuit arms and lifted the heavy wreckage from her body. She groaned in pain. Her leg was badly twisted, bones broken. She would not survive alone. She would not survive without help. Elias adjusted the strength in his exosuit arms. Carefully, he picked her up in both arms. Her body was heavier than a human's, but the suit held strong. "Rest. We move now," Elias said. And with that, he began walking into the jungle. The jungle was alive. Strange birds with 6 wings screamed from above. Plants hissed as they touched his armor. The soil squished like wet meat beneath his boots. Varel groaned in his arms, half awake. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. Elias didn't stop walking. "Because you're alive. That's reason enough." "I treated your kind with coldness," she murmured. "I never saw humans as equal." "I noticed," Elias said with a faint smile. She coughed, her head against his chest plate. "Then why carry me?" "Because I was carried once," he said, "by a man who died saving me. I promised I'd do the same one day." Varel fell silent after that. The first night was the hardest. Elias found a small cave near a waterfall. He set her down gently and started a fire with broken wiring from his suit and dry alien bark. He wrapped her leg with his only bandage roll and gave her water from his filtered flask. The suit's battery blinked yellow. Only 40% power. Outside the cave, he saw movement. A long tail, sharp limbs, the Sharn predators of Velshara. Silent. Clever. Fast. He had no weapons. He picked up a metal rod from the wreckage. His exosuit powered the swing. He waited. Eyes sharp. But the Sharn didn't come close that night. On the second day, Elias carried her again. The jungle became thicker. The trees blocked the sky. The map in his helmet was broken, but he remembered the emergency beacon was far east. 3 days' walk, if alone. Now, with her in his arms, it could take 5. He adjusted her weight carefully. Virel opened her eyes again. "You should leave me now, before it's too late." "Still saying that?" Elias asked. "I feel my body weakening. My telepathic link is fading. Even if we make it, I may never command again." "Good," Elias said. "Then maybe you'll stop giving orders and start listening." She gave a weak laugh. It was the first time he ever heard her laugh. At midday, they crossed a broken bridge over glowing water. A sudden quake shook the ground. The bridge cracked beneath them. Elias jumped just in time. The suit's boosters fired briefly, barely saving them both. He landed hard, rolled, and groaned. The suit's right leg joint sparked. "Damage, 70%. "Still, want me to let you go?" he asked. Virel's voice was weak. "No, not anymore." That night, the storm came. Acid rain poured from the red clouds. Elias hid them under a large tree with thick leaves. His suit burned where the rain touched. He used parts of his own armor to shield Virel. His hands blistered. His arms shook. But he never stopped holding her. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what?" Elias asked. "For treating humans like machines, like tools. You have heart. You have strength." He said nothing, just looked at the stars when the clouds cleared. Then he whispered, "Rest now. We still have 2 days left." And the fire cracked quietly beside them. Elias moved slowly through the jungle of Velshara. His exoskeleton legs made heavy sounds as they stepped over roots and stones. Virel lay in his arms, her skin pale and her breathing weak. Her injured leg was now wrapped in a strong bandage, made from torn armor cloth. She did not speak much. Her eyes opened only for short moments before closing again. The jungle was darker now. The trees grew taller and blocked more sunlight. Strange noises echoed from every side, screeches, growls, clicking sounds. Elias knew something was watching them. His helmet scanner was broken. No radar, no threat warning, only his ears and eyes. He stopped under a giant tree that had silver leaves. "Rest time," he whispered. He placed Virel down carefully against a tree trunk. She opened her eyes slightly. "Why stop?" "Suit needs cool down. You need water." He handed her a flask. She tried to drink, but her hand was shaking. Elias helped her. Then he checked the battery meter. Power, 28%. He sighed. "Still got time." Virel looked at him. "You built this suit?" "Yes," he replied, pulling off a panel and checking some wires. "Built it during the Terran Frontier Wars. Repaired it more times than I can count." "It's strong," she whispered. "No, I just know how to keep it alive, like I'm doing with you." She gave a small smile. They moved again after 20 minutes. Elias carried her once more and walked east. He remembered the beacon tower. If it still stood, it was built near the crystal cliffs. He looked for signs of those crystals. Hours passed. Still nothing. The forest only grew thicker and the air heavier. Suddenly he froze. A shadow moved behind the trees, fast, silent, too fast to be normal. He turned slowly. Nothing. Then a clicking sound, like metal tapping on glass. Close, very close. Elias whispered, "Stay quiet." Virel weakly asked, "What is it?" He didn't answer. The trees around them rustled, branches bent. Something was circling. Then he saw it, just for a second, a tall black creature with sharp legs, glowing eyes, and a thin tail. It moved like liquid shadow. It was a Sharn stalker. Elias backed away slowly, holding Virel tighter. "Predator," he said softly. "Big one." She tensed in his arms. Even half awake, she knew what that meant. "Run," she whispered. I can't outrun it, he replied. Not with you. So I'll outsmart it. He stepped into a clearing and saw a pile of old metal, parts from the crashed ship. Elias quickly set Virel down behind the pile and looked for anything useful. He found a broken power rod and 2 plasma wires, enough to make a trap. He tied one wire around a rock and pulled the other end into a loop. Then he placed the power rod under some leaves and set the loop around it. Primitive, he muttered, but might work. The Sharn moved again. Now it was closer. Elias picked up a piece of scrap metal and threw it into the trees. Clang! The noise echoed. The Sharn jumped at the sound but missed the trap. It stopped, then slowly turned its head toward Elias. Guess I'll do this the hard way, Elias said. He ran, leading the creature away. The Sharn chased him, its legs moving fast like knives over stone. Elias ran in a circle, heading back toward the trap. His suit's legs strained. He pressed the booster, just once. The suit gave a short burst of speed. Elias jumped over the loop. The Sharn followed and stepped right into the trap. The plasma wire snapped closed around its leg. The power rod exploded in a flash of light. The creature screamed. It didn't die, but it was blinded and hurt. It limped away, crashing into trees. Elias ran back to Virel, panting. Trap worked, for now. She opened her eyes. You fought it? Just made it angry, he said. We need to move fast. By evening, they reached the edge of a rocky slope. From there, they could see distant blue lights, glowing crystals. Beacon should be near that, Elias said. One more day. Virel was sweating. Her forehead burned with fever. I can't go on. You don't need to. I'll carry you, he said again. She shook her head. No, I'm a soldier. I must walk at least some steps. Elias paused, then carefully set her down. I'll help. He supported her with one arm. She stood, leaning hard on him. Her leg could not hold weight, but she tried. She took one step, then 2, then collapsed. Elias caught her before she hit the ground. I tried, she whispered. I really did. I know, he said softly, and I'm proud of you. He lifted her again. I'll carry you the rest of the way. That night, the jungle burned in the distance. The Sharn pack had returned, hunting the wounded ones from the crash. Elias heard other screams far away. Maybe other survivors. Maybe not. He found an old Zavari ruin, hidden under vines, stone walls with alien markings. He stepped inside carefully. It smelled of dust and time. He laid Virel down on a flat stone and lit a small fire using old cables and crystals. Then he checked his suit again. Power, 11% too low. He opened a side panel and removed the backup core. He only had one more boost left. Maybe 2 if used carefully. He sat beside Virel. Her eyes were closed. She looked peaceful but weak. Elias whispered, We're close, Captain. One more day. I'll get you there. He looked at her face. In the firelight, she no longer looked cold or distant. She looked calm, trusting. He reached into his pack and pulled out a folded piece of cloth, his old unit's flag. He used it to cover her and keep her warm. Outside, something howled in the jungle, but Elias didn't move. He just sat there, watching the flames. Morning came slowly on Velshara. The jungle was quiet, too quiet. The air smelled like wet earth and danger. Elias sat near the fire, his eyes heavy with no sleep. His exosuit was almost dead, the lights blinking red. The last battery was untouched, but he knew he would need it soon. Captain Virel still slept under the cloth he gave her. Her breathing was shallow. Fever was rising. Elias touched her forehead gently. Too hot. He had to move. Fast. He packed up the gear, lifted her in his arms once again, and stepped outside the ruined temple. The forest had changed. Now the trees were thinner. Strange bones covered the ground, long, sharp, and white like glass. Birds didn't sing here. The sky was gray. Elias checked the sun's position. We're close. Beacon should be near the cliffs. He walked forward, stepping between piles of bones. Some were shaped like hands. Others looked like skulls with too many eyes. This place is cursed, he whispered. After an hour of walking, he saw it. A massive bridge stretched across, a deep canyon. The bridge was made of black stone and metal bones. It looked ancient. Cracks ran across its surface. Many bones were tied to the sides like decorations. A strong wind blew through the canyon, howling like voices. Virel woke up slightly and looked at the bridge. That is the Zavari Death Bridge, she said weakly, built long ago by my ancestors. Many soldiers died here. It leads to the sacred cliffs. Elias looked at her. Can it hold our weight? She closed her eyes again. If it remembers honor, it will. That wasn't the answer he wanted. But there was no other way. The canyon was too deep to climb down, too wide to go around. He stepped onto the bridge. The stone creaked under his boots. The wind pushed at his chest. Every step echoed. The bones hanging on the sides rattled like chimes. Elias held Virel close and walked carefully. Halfway across, the bridge shook. A large piece of stone cracked behind him and fell into the canyon. He didn't look back. He just kept moving forward faster now. Then he heard a growl. He turned his head. A Sharn stalker stood at the other end of the bridge. It was larger than the one before. Its eyes glowed red. Its claws clicked against the bone-covered path. And it was hungry. Elias stopped. Virel opened her eyes again. She saw the creature. Put me down, she said. You can't fight it while holding me. No, Elias said. You'll die like this, then I'll die standing, he answered. He set her gently behind a tall bone pillar and stood up. The Sharn charged. Elias activated his last battery. Power surge. 100%. Temporary. The suit glowed blue for a second. Energy returned to his limbs. He lifted a sharp bone from the ground like a spear. The Sharn leapt. Elias rolled to the side and stabbed the bone into its leg. The beast roared and swung a claw at him. The armor held, but just barely. Elias jumped back, then used his booster to land a punch to its jaw. The beast fell, stunned. Elias rushed forward, slammed his foot down on its neck, and drove the bone deep into its chest. The Sharn screamed and went still. The bridge shook again. Cracks spread under Elias's boots. He turned and ran back to Virel, lifted her up, and sprinted the last steps across the bridge, just as his feet touched solid ground. The bridge behind them collapsed into the canyon. He didn't look back. They found a small cave near the crystal cliffs. Elias laid her down and checked her wound. Infection was spreading. Her body shook. We're almost there, he whispered. But he knew her time was running out. He pulled out the last healing gel from his belt. It was made for humans, not aliens. But he had no choice. He applied it gently to her wound and hoped for the best. She opened her eyes again. You're still here. Of course, Elias said softly. You saved me again. That's what I do. No, she whispered. You do more. You carry hope. You carry strength. He looked at her face. Her voice was weaker now. Her pride was gone, replaced by something gentle. I thought humans were soft, she said. I was wrong. Elias smiled. You're not the first to say that. At dawn, they reached the crystal cliffs. The light from the sky hit the crystals, making them shine in all colors. At the edge of the cliff, an old Zavari beacon tower stood, half broken but still tall. It looked like a sword rising into the sky. Elias walked to the base. The panel was dead, no power. He set Varel down and looked around. Then he saw it, an old Zevari power cell stuck inside a metal pod. He opened it, pulled out the core, and plugged it into the beacon. The lights blinked, the beacon hummed. But it needed a Zevari signature to activate. Elias looked at Varel. She was barely awake. Her skin was cold. "Can you do it?" he asked. She nodded slowly. He helped her sit up and pressed her hand to the panel. A soft blue light scanned her hand. Then, the beacon activated. A loud chime echoed into the sky. Elias smiled. "They'll find us now." Varel leaned against him. "I can rest now, can't I?" He held her close. "Yes, I'll keep watch." And with that, she closed her eyes and slept peacefully. Elias sat beside her, watching the sky, waiting for rescue. He didn't move. He didn't sleep. He had carried her through fire, rain, beasts, and death. Now he would carry her through the final weight. The beacon's light cut through the night, shining high above the crystal cliffs of Velshara. The blue glow pulsed slowly, sending a signal to the distant Alliance ships orbiting the moon. Elias sat beside Captain Varel, still weak but stable. The fire flickered between them, casting long shadows on the stone. But peace was only a mask. From the dark jungle below, a low growl echoed. Something large moved through the trees, something far bigger than the Sharn stalkers Elias had fought before. The Sharn Queen was coming. Elias tightened his grip on a sharpened bone spear he had carved from the ruins. His exosuit was dead now. No power left. The last boost had drained hours ago. Only his own strength and quick thinking remained. Varel's eyes fluttered open. "Elias," she whispered. "The Queen—" "I know," he said softly. "The nest is close. It will come for us." Elias nodded. He gently lifted her in his arms. "We can't run," she said. "We don't have to," he answered. The Sharn Queen was massive, twice as tall as any other Sharn, with dozens of sharp legs and a tail like a scorpion's stinger. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness. It smelled blood and pain. Elias led Varel down from the cliffs and into the narrow ruins of the ancient Zevari temple. The walls were cracked and covered with glowing alien runes, the perfect place for a fight. The Queen followed. Its heavy steps shook the ground. The air smelled of danger. Elias stopped in the center of the ruins. He set Varel down gently. "Stay here," he said. "I'll buy you time." "No," she said weakly. "We face it together." He looked at her, surprised. "You carried me all this way," she whispered. "I will fight by your side now." Elias smiled, pain and hope mixing in his eyes. The battle began. The Sharn Queen charged through the broken pillars. Elias dodged under its claws and stabbed with his bone spear. The creature screeched but was not hurt much. Its thick armor was nearly impenetrable. Elias ran toward the ancient altar in the center of the temple. He noticed old power conduits, running along the floor, still glowing faintly. An idea struck him. He ducked and pulled a heavy metal rod from the altar. He tied one end of a plasma wire to it and stretched the wire across the path the Queen would take. Then he used some broken power cells to charge the wire. Sparks flew. The Queen charged again. When it stepped on the wire, a powerful electric shock hit its legs. The creature screamed and fell. Momentarily stunned, Elias ran forward, grabbing a piece of sharp metal. He drove the metal into the Queen's eye. The beast roared in pain and fury. It thrashed wildly, knocking over columns and debris. Elias jumped back just in time to avoid being crushed. Inside the temple, the air was thick with dust and heat. The firelight danced on broken stone. Varel crawled toward Elias, holding her side where she had been hit in the chaos. "We must finish this," she said. Elias nodded. Together they lured the Queen toward a narrow corridor. Elias jumped behind. a large pillar, and waited. The queen entered the corridor, but its size was too big for the narrow space. It got stuck. Virel crawled forward, holding a sharp piece of metal. She slashed the queen's tail, cutting a tendon. The queen howled and tried to pull free. Elias rushed in and delivered a heavy blow to its head. The queen staggered, then collapsed. Silence returned. Breathing hard, Elias helped Virel sit down. They were both hurt, but alive, though ancient beacons still glowed outside. Elias looked at the exosuit lying broken near the temple's entrance. No power, no help. But they had survived. Virel closed her eyes. "Thank you," she said softly, "for saving me, for carrying me." Elias smiled. "I told you, I don't leave people behind." She reached out and held his hand. "I see now why humans survive," she whispered. "They carry more than strength. They carry hope." Elias looked at the stars. "Help is coming," he said. In the distance, a ship's engines hummed softly. The rescue team was near. Elias leaned back and watched the sky. He had carried her through 3 days of pain, fear, and darkness, and he would carry her through whatever came next. The sound of engines came closer. A low hum echoed across the cliffs of Velshara. Elias stood up slowly, his body aching. Smoke still rose from the shattered temple behind him. The dead body of the Sharn queen lay silent in the shadows, broken and still. Elias looked up. 3 lights appeared in the sky. Blue searchlights. Then he saw it. A joint human Zavari rescue ship descending toward the glowing beacon. Its engines kicked up dust and wind as it touched down on the landing pad. Built long ago by the Zavari. The ramp opened. Soldiers rushed out, both human and alien. Some carried stretchers. Others carried scanners. A Zavari medic ran forward, eyes wide when she saw Virel. "Captain!" the medic cried. Virel's head moved slightly, her eyes half open. She was still alive, but weak. Elias walked slowly toward them, carrying her one last time in his arms. His exosuit was dead, his armor burned. His hands were covered in dried blood and dirt, but he walked tall, step by step, until he reached the rescuers. "She's alive," he said. "Take her first." The medics moved fast. They placed Virel on a stretcher and attached healing tubes to her side. The Zavari medic turned to Elias. "Her leg is broken. She has infection, blood loss, and burns, but she will live. You saved her." Elias didn't reply. He just nodded and sat down on the ground, too tired to stand anymore. One human officer stepped forward. "Name?" "Elias Vorn." "Engineer, Unit 7, he said quietly. The officer looked shocked. "You carried her all the way here? Through Velshara?" Elias didn't answer. He only stared at the jungle. The ship's crew brought him water and wrapped his wounds. The officer looked at his broken exosuit. "This thing's seen better days." Elias gave a small smile. "So have I." They lifted him onto the ship. Inside, soft lights filled the medbay. Elias lay on a simple bed beside Virel's. Machines beeped quietly. He saw her resting peacefully, breathing normally now. Color was returning to her face. A Zavari elder entered the room. He wore ceremonial robes with gold lines and glowing patterns. He looked at Elias with calm eyes. "You are the one who carried her." "Yes," Elias said. "You fought the queen. You crossed the death bridge. You protected our commander with no hope for yourself." Elias just nodded. The elder bowed deeply. "You are no longer just human. You are a brother of the Zavari." The news spread quickly. Across the Alliance ships, soldiers talked of the human who carried a proud Zavari captain across Velshara's cursed lands. They spoke of his bravery, his strength, and his heart. Some called him a hero. Others called him a fool for risking his life. But none denied what he had done. Days passed. Elias recovered quickly, thanks to Scifi medicine. His arms still hurt, and he walked with a limp, but he was alive. One evening, as he sat near the large viewing window, Virel came to him. She wore a long Scifi robe, her legs still in a brace. Her walk was slow but steady. "Elias," she said softly. He stood up. "Captain?" "No," she said with a smile. "Just Virel now." They sat down together. "I wanted to thank you," she said. "You already did." "Not properly," she replied. "Before, I saw humans as simple, emotional, weak. And now?" "Now I see something more," she said. "You don't carry just machines. You carry people, through fear, through fire, through death." He looked at her, eyes calm. "I carry those who need it," he said. "Because once someone carried me." She nodded. "That story. You never told me." He looked at the stars outside. "During the Frontier War, my unit was ambushed. I was the youngest, injured. I told my sergeant to leave me. He didn't listen. He carried me for 4 days across burning desert, saved my life. He died 2 weeks later." Virel was silent. "I swore that day," Elias continued, "if I ever had the chance, I'd carry someone else." Virel placed a hand gently on his. "You did." Later that night, the Scifi Council called a meeting. Humans and Scifi stood side by side. Virel stepped forward. She raised her voice for all to hear. "I stand before you not as a captain, but as one who was saved. Not by a fleet, not by orders, but by one man. A human. Elias Vorn." All eyes turned to him. "He carried me for 3 days with no food, no water, no power. He fought beasts. He crossed broken lands. He gave everything to keep one life alive, mine." She turned to him. "For this, I award him the Crystal Flame of Honor, the highest Scifi medal." A tall officer stepped forward and pinned a glowing blue crystal to Elias's chest. The crowd stood in silence. Then, applause. Even the proudest Scifi warriors clapped. After the ceremony, Elias and Virel stood at the balcony. Below, the stars of Velshara shone brightly. "What will you do now?" she asked. "Maybe build better exosuits," he said. "Lighter ones," she smiled. "And I'll make sure Scifi soldiers know how strong humans truly are." "Even the proud ones?" "Especially the proud ones." They laughed softly. Then Virel looked serious. "There's something else," she said. "What?" She looked into his eyes. "Thank you for not letting me go." He nodded. "You weren't just weight to carry. You were someone worth saving." She took his hand again. This time, he didn't pull away. 1 year later. On a training ground near Earth's orbit, human and Scifi soldiers trained together. They wore joint armor. They shared meals. They laughed together. In the center, a new instructor led survival drills, Elias Vorn. Beside him, now walking strong and proud, was Virel, co-instructor and respected veteran. They told new recruits the story of survival, of courage, of a human who didn't let go, and of a promise carried through pain and fire. Together.